You know, when we think about prime football in the late 90s and early 2000s, Arsenal is one of the first names that comes up. From the double winning team of 98 all the way to the invincibles of 2004, the football was a joy to watch. They had everything: the leadership of Tony Adams, the flair of Bergkamp, the steel of Viera, and the lethalness of Thierry Henry. It was a good time to be an Arsenal fan. They challenged for titles, they played beautiful football, and most importantly, they had an identity. But fast forward to today, times are hard for Arsenal fans. They're not even near a title challenge. The beautiful football is gone, and forget about the identity. But the question is, what happened to Arsenal? Well, stick around to find out. Right, so let's go back to the mid-90s. The English game was mostly about grit and long balls. This was a time that money was slowly pouring in the Premier League, and we started seeing more and more foreign talents in the league. This is Arsène Wenger, a Frenchman coming all the way from Japan. He came in to revolutionize the football at Arsenal. He introduced new training methods and discipline at a time they weren't that great. This man was way ahead of his time. And you can't even make this up. Even his name rhymed with Arsenal. Get it? Arsène? Arsenal? Okay, never mind. Anyway, Wenger came in with his own ideas that were far ahead of the English football at the time. He gave Arsenal an international flair, but it wasn't just down to him. This is where our second character comes in. This is David Dein, and to make it simple, he ran the football side of Arsenal. Dein is the man responsible for hiring Arsène Wenger as a coach. Dein believed that English football was falling behind the other countries and wasn't embracing a forward-thinking plan to improve. He saw Wenger as the man to push Arsenal into modern football by embracing new methods. Together, they were a perfect match to take Arsenal forward, and boy, they moved forward. At the time, the English football was dominated by Manchester United. But then, the double-winning team of 98 happened, which broke the monopoly of Man United. They kept challenging for titles, to the point that in 2002, they won the league in a match against Manchester United in United's own backyard. That was one for the history books. But Arsenal wasn't done with history, because guess what? 2 years later, they won the league again, but not just in any fashion. They won it without losing a single game in the league. They were known as the Invincibles. Life was pretty good for Arsenal fans, but then times were about to change. Arsenal would still win trophies in the next decade and a half, even reach a Champions League final in 2006, but there was a clear shift in the club. And before we talk about what happened to Arsenal, don't forget to leave a like or comment. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm, as a lot of time goes into making these videos. So, in 2004, Arsenal won the league totally undefeated, and times were good. A couple of years later, they left their historic Highbury Stadium to move into their newly built Emirates Stadium. Most Arsenal fans look at this as the beginning of dark times. It was supposed to take the club to the next level, both financially and in stature. It was supposed to be a fortress that moved the club into modern times. But the stadium came with a large cost. It literally handcuffed the club financially. To put in perspective, Chelsea, Man United, and later on, Manchester City were all improving their squads each season. Arsenal had to watch their legends leave without properly replacing them. And to make matters worse, their squads were being raided by the rivals who could financially outmuscle them. SAMIR NASRI and ADEBAYOR to Man City and Van Persie to Man United comes to mind. Arsenal had to pay the stadium debt all the way to 2014, and the financial limitation was clear to see. Looking back, life wasn't too bad, as the club was still finishing top 4 despite all the financial limitations. You know, even quite a few FA Cups came along the way, but times were about to get worse, as for the first time in many years, Arsenal would miss the Champions League. And the sad part is, it just seemed so normal and expected. But we can't blame the stadium for all the misfortune. In 2007, David Dein left Arsenal. He was one of the masterminds of everything Arsenal achieved at the time. Until then, Arsenal was owned by people who genuinely cared for the club. But then, Arsenal was bought by people who were expected to bankroll Arsenal to future success. This is Stan Kroenke, and let's just say he's not a very liked figure at Arsenal. Kroenke treated Arsenal like a business, rather than a winning club. And to make matters worse, Kroenke had no passion for the football club or football in general, which isn't really a good recipe if you want to stay on top of your sport. There was a time when Arsène Wenger could do no wrong. He took Arsenal to the highest of the highs. But with the financial limitation of the club and the arrival of Chelsea and Manchester City as their rivals, it was going to be tough for any manager. As the face of the club, Wenger was heavily criticized for not challenging for the titles. But looking back, we can all see that Wenger took Arsenal to consistent top 4 finishes despite the challenges that he had. These days, times are hard for Arsenal fans, as for the first time in decades, they're totally out of Europe. And the lack of strategy didn't exactly help so far, with way too much money spent on players that didn't exactly live up to their potential. So, what do you think about Arsenal's fortune? Personally, I have fond memories from Arsenal back in the day. I've always had a soft spot for clubs that have a distinctive identity. As a Milan fan, I can so relate to the rise and fall of the Arsenal Football Club and hope things get better as we go. Let me know in the comment section below, but be nice to each other, and if you like videos about football facts shown with sketches, well, stick around for future videos.